In our textbook, we're in section 9.4, which is on page 523. It's learning plan 5.3, and we're dealing with formulas and other applications. When will these formulas come into play? When we're dealing with squares and square roots, such as in the Pythagorean theorem or in area. And then sometimes we're going to use the quadratic function for different models of how data appear. So, when are we going to use these squares and square roots? Like, for instance, in this one, solve the formula, solve this formula for r. In other words, we want r all along. So we can take the area is pi r squared, which we know is the area of a circle. Okay? So then we would have, divide both sides by pi, and r squared is area over pi. Take the square root of both sides, and we get the square root of area over pi is plus or minus r squared. Well, actually, let's put the plus or minus sign on this side. The radius is plus or minus the square root of pi, area over pi. Now, the thing is, there's never going to be a negative radius, but it said keep that in the formula, so we'll keep it there. Next one. Solve this one for a. Now we've got a square root. So we've got s equals 30 square root a over p. So the first thing to do would be to divide both sides by 30 and then square both sides. So we have a over p squared equals s over 30 squared, or a over p equals s squared over 30 squared. Multiply both sides by p, and we get area equals s squared p over 900. You try this one. Nope. Yeah, you try this one, and then when you're done, I'll show you how I did it. Okay, to get the e all alone, multiply both sides by e squared. We have e squared n equals ab. Divide both sides by n, and we get e squared equals ab over n. Take the square root of both sides, plus or minus ab over n. So e equals plus or minus square root ab over n. And solve this one for p. I'm going to change colors so that you can see the difference. Oops. S equals square root pq over n. Square both sides, you get s squared equals pq over n. Multiply both sides by n over q, and you get p equals ns squared over q. All right. Now, if you've got a quadratic like this, it's a little bit different the way you go about solving it. Probably the easiest way to solve this one would be to use the quadratic formula. T equals negative b 5 plus or minus square root b squared 5 squared minus 4 times a times 4 times 2 times k all over 2 times 2. Or t equals 5 plus or minus square root 25 minus 8k over 4. So you try this one. First of all, get the r squared plus 9r plus c, so that 0 is on the other side. We want it in standard form to use the quadratic formula. R equals negative 9 plus or minus square root 9 squared minus 4 times 1 times c over 1 times 2. So r equals negative 9 plus or minus square root 81 minus 4c over 2. Okay, Pythagorean theorem. A ladder is leaning against a house. The distance from the bottom of the ladder to the house is 5 feet. The distance from the top of the ladder to the ground is 1 foot less than the length of the ladder. Okay? How long is the ladder? So, 5 squared plus L minus 1 squared equals L squared. 25 plus L squared minus 2L plus 1 equals L squared. Subtract L squared from both sides. You get 25 minus 2L plus 1 equals 0. Add 2L to both sides. You get 26 is 2L, so L is 13. You do this one. Okay, so he's got the barn, and the diagonal from the barn is 50 feet. The length is the width plus 10. So W squared plus W plus 10 squared equals 50 squared. W squared plus 20W plus 100 equals 2500. Subtract 2500 from both sides. You get 2W squared plus 20W minus 2400 equals 0. Divide everything by 2. This is one of those cases where it's really useful to simplify the quadratic formula. W squared plus 10W minus 1200 equals 0. What two numbers multiplied equal 1200 are 10 apart? How about 30 and 40? W minus or plus 40, W minus 30, and our W equals negative 40 or positive 30. Obviously, it can't be negative, so this is 30 and this is 40. Okay? You do this one. Okay, one car travels north, the other car travels east. When the car traveling north had gone 12 miles, the distance between the cars was 4 miles more than the distance by the car traveling east. So, our Pythagorean theorem is 12 squared plus E squared equals E plus 4 squared. 144 plus E squared equals E squared plus 8E plus 16. Subtract E squared from both sides and subtract 144 from both sides. You get 8. No. Subtract 16 from both sides. 8E equals 144 minus 16. 128. Divide both sides by 8. You get E is 16, which makes this 20. How far had the eastbound car traveled? 16 miles. Okay. Now, area is one place where you're going to use quadratics also. Suppose the pool is 20 by 40 feet. Well, that's not what he's got here. This should be a 40 here. The homeowner wants to plant a strip of grass around the edge of the pool. There is enough seed to cover 70 square feet. There are 700 square feet. So if we take the area of the big rectangle minus this, that's going to equal 700 square feet. What is the big rectangle? It's 40 plus 2x by 20 plus 2x. Now why is that so? Because the border is going to be x along each side, and there's two of those along each side, minus 40 by 20 will equal 700. Okay, this multiplies out to be 4x squared. 2 times 40 is 80, plus 40 is 120. And then 40 times 20 is 800, minus 40 by 20, which is, see, you've got the plus 800, and then minus 800 right here, equals 700. So let's subtract 700 from both sides. All of those are divisible by 4, so you get x squared plus 30x minus 700 divided by 4 is 175 equals 0. What two numbers 30 apart multiplied equal 175? 5 times 35? Yep. So x plus 35, x minus 5 equals 0. So x equals negative 35 or positive 5. Well, it can't be negative 35. So how wide should the strip of grass be? 5 feet. All right. Next one. Oh, let's see, is there, nope. Okay, so we've got 30 by 40, and then we've got an area around it. That equals 296. So we're going to have the width is twice the sod plus 30. The length is twice the sod plus 40. And we want that to equal 296 square feet. So 4s squared plus 140s plus 1200 equals 296. Oh, no, we have to subtract 1200 because the area of the sod is just going to be this part here, not the whole thing, 2s plus 30. So we have to subtract 1200. Since we added it before, let's just subtract 296 from both sides. And we get 4s squared plus 140s minus 296 equals 0. Divide everything by 4. We get s squared, I'm going to change colors. S squared plus 35s minus 74 equals 0. What two numbers multiplied equals 74 are 35 apart? 74 divided by 2 is 37. Okay, so S plus 37, S minus 2 equals 0. So S equals negative 37 feet or positive 2 feet. Obviously, it's going to be positive 2 feet because otherwise it wouldn't make sense. Another problem. The length of the rectangle is the width plus 4. If we would take 2 inches from the length, width plus 2, and add it to the width, width plus 2, the figure becomes a square with an area of 192. What are the dimensions of the original figure? Well, you know, since we know it's a square, that's 192, we can just say the width plus 2 squared is 192. Take the square root of both sides, so 192, square root of a 192 is 8 root 3, or 13.856 is the width plus 2. Subtract 2 from both sides. We get W is 11.856, which would make the length 15.856. That one was a lot easier than we had thought it was going to be. Okay, this is a standard distance formula for an object being shot out of a gun or something like that. The distance as a function of time is negative 16t squared plus 64t. At what time will the ball be 32 feet from the ground? So 32 equals negative 16t squared plus 64t. Subtract 32 from both sides. You get negative 16t squared plus 64t minus 32 equals 0. Divide everything by negative 16. And you get t squared minus 4t minus 2 equals 0. No, plus 2 equals 0. I made a mistake. Negative 64t, negative 16t plus 64t minus 32. Divide everything by negative 16, you get t squared minus 4t plus 2 equals 0. What two numbers multiplied equal 2, added equal negative 4? See, that's why there's got to be something going on there. Let's use a quadratic formula. Negative b, so that's 4, plus or minus square root. Yeah, there's that middle term is too big. I gotta see here. Maybe I made a mistake. $32 equals negative 16t squared plus 64t. Subtract 32 from both sides. You get negative 16t squared plus 64t minus 32 equals 0. Divide everything by negative 16. Because the reason why I know there's something screwed up is that this is 4 squared minus 4 times 1 times 2, and that's 16 minus, 16 minus 8. I don't know what I was thinking. Sorry about that. I was thinking it was plus 8. Over 2. So we get 4 plus or minus root of 8 over 2. Now, the root of 8 square root 8 is 2.87. So 4 plus or minus 2.82 over 2. 4 plus 2.82 is 6.82 divided by 2 is 3.41 seconds, or 4 minus 2.82 is 1.18 seconds. So those are the 2 times that it will be 32 feet off the ground. Remember, it's going to be, while it's on its way up, it's 32 feet off the ground, and while it's on its way down. So that's why there's 2 of them. Okay, you do this one. If an object is projected upward from the top of a 120-foot building at 60 feet per second, its position above the ground is given by negative 16t squared plus 60t plus 120, where t is the time in seconds. When does it hit the ground? In other words, when is 120 equals negative 16t squared plus 60t plus 120. Subtract 120 from both sides, and you get 0 equals negative 16t squared plus 60t. Factor out a t. You have t parentheses negative 16t plus 60. So it's going to be, it's at the ground at 0, which is not the answer they're looking for. That's where this one comes from. Or negative 16t squared equals negative 60. Divide both sides by negative 16. 60 divided by negative 16 is 3.75 seconds. Okay. Another time where you use a consumer price index, notice it's a quadratic formula. This index uses the base year of 1967, which means the index number for 1967 is 100. X is the number of years that have elapsed since 1980. We're supposed to use these numbers to approximate it for 2000. How many years is it after 2000? Well, from 1980 to 2000 is 20. So it's going to be negative 0.065 times 20 squared plus 14.8 times 20 plus 249. So negative 0.065 times 20 squared plus 14.8 times 20 plus 249 equals 519. In what year did the CPI reach 450? So 450 equals negative 0.065 plus 14.8 x squared plus 249. Subtract 450 from both sides. And use our quadratic formula. X equals negative b, so negative 14.8 plus or minus square root 14.8 squared minus 4 times negative 0.065 times, let's see, 249 minus 450 is negative 201 divided by 0.065 times 2. So let's just enter that on our calculator. The square root part first. 14.8 squared minus 4 times times negative 0.065 times negative 201, and we get 166.78. Let's take the square root of that, and that is 12.9. So negative 14.8 I made a mistake there. Let's see. Minus 4 times clear. 14.8 squared minus 4 times 0.065 times 201. Square root is 12.9. The reason why I'm wondering is that's going to be either a very small negative number or a very big negative number. Oh, this is a negative on the bottom. Never mind. Okay, so let's do it then. Negative 14.8 negative 14.8 minus 12.9 equals negative 277 divided by 10 divided by negative 0.13. That's what you get when you do that. You get 213. Did we do the square root of that? Yeah, we did. Even that is not right because I get 213 years. What did I do wrong? 22 years it's supposed to be. All right, and then the last one is figuring it out for 2005. If you have any questions, you can give me a call.